Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning. Camera's working. I don't know why sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it works, but anyways. And, like I started the stream early enough, so I think we can come over here and look at our charts. Oh, very lovely. Very lovely. So we can see here a very small move up in the E-mini, but so far, the trend is looking good. It could be a reversal. I mean, this thing right here, I know we were talking about this yesterday, but just to review, this right here looks to me like pretty solid rejection of lower prices in the E-mini. I'm a little suspicious about it because I just don't feel like that our problems are over, but that's what the chart says. So when we look at Treasuries, though, very interesting, pretty significant move down today. So the pressure is coming off, essentially. But when I come over here and I look at the DOM, just here in the first 3 minutes, it's been extremely slow. We do have numbers. Excuse me. What do we have today? Today we have building permits, Philly Fed Manufacturing Index. That's what they're waiting for. Housing starts and unemployment claims. Okay, so let's type in here. Okay. I'm a little behind today for whatever reason. My shower ended up taking longer than it should, and I was eating, but I think we're okay. Lucas says we need a trend, Seth. Well, I don't know. So here's the thing. Well, let me come back to the charts. And I will use a line here. Okay, here's a line. I'm just gonna draw random lines on the chart, just for fun, you know. They don't really mean anything or anything like that. But what does that look like to you? Okay, we came up, we developed a range that was accepted, and then we pushed higher, and we developed another range which the top was tested multiple times and appears to have been rejected. They are now testing if we're going to move back into this lower range. The title says 13th of May. I've been forgetting to change that. Thank you. So let's go fix... excuse me. Let's go fix that. Today is the 16th. So change that. I also didn't change my my image yesterday. I need to remember to do that and make sure. You guys are probably worse at reminding me than I am at remembering, but we need to remember before we leave to change the thumbnail to include the day's chart so that when we're looking back at the videos, it's very easy for us to see what the thing is going. Anyways, so I think that they want to test lower. Now, here's the thing that I'm having an issue with here. By the way, 4 minutes. Oh, and we should read the numbers just so we know what we're looking for. Philly Fed Manufacturing Index, we're looking for a reading of 10 with a previous reading of 8.5. Okay, this is a number that can actually be significantly different than what it looks like. It's not uncommon for this to be like expecting a reading of 16 and get a reading of like 40. Okay, that's happened before. So be looking for a pretty big beat on that one. But I think that's the important number. And then building permits, we're looking for a reading of 1.29 million. Housing starts reading of 1.21 million. And the unemployment claims, we're looking for a reading of 220,000. Right, so anyways, what was I saying? Oh yes. So why is it moving down? Why is it moving down? That's the question. And I come over here and I say, why is it moving down? Let's go to CNBC. What's the headline on CNBC? Walmart earnings beat as investments fuel sales growth in good position to hit 2019 goals. And their main headline here, Dow set to rise more than 100 points as Cisco and Walmart gain on earnings. Okay, so question. Why did we move down? We moved down because of Chinese trade war, right? So if there's a Chinese trade war going on here, why should we care about Walmart earnings? Why should this whole thing roll back because of Walmart earnings? It shouldn't. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm a little bit skeptical here. I want to see them test the bottom of this thing, see if they can get into this lower range, but I am concerned that you might come out and you might see the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index, which we're looking for a reading of 10, which is not a very positive reading, by the way. And I'm worried that it's going to come out and it's going to be like negative or something like that, which would be very, very unfortunate. And we did get a negative reading in February, by the way. So I think we could get some trend. Let's see. My window is open and I can hear it, my sound reflecting off of it. So I'm going to go fix that. I got about 40 seconds. Okay. So here we go. I'm not going to put any trade in here, but I am going to get myself ready. Okay. So here, I'm not seeing the news hitting the Twitter wires yet. Okay. Housing starts, they got 12,035. Jobless claims was a little better than expected, 212 versus 220. I'm still waiting on that Philly number. We are moving down. Not seeing it hitting Twitter. Always makes me suspicious. That Philly number maybe just hasn't hit the wires yet. Lucas is like, yay, nothing happened. Are you in a position? Walmart reports are the best quarter one in 9 years, but warns tariffs will lead to higher prices. Yes, they will. You know what? I'll go on that rant in a little bit. I don't want to get started on something like that right now. Now is a bad time to go on a rant about something like that. I will just put it on the list. I need like a sticky note over here so I can write these things down. Things we can talk about and the list of things that I've got to do at the end of the stream. Okay, so they are pushing down. I mean, it's turning into some pretty solid downtrend, but there's some big orders down below us that have been there, and I'm starting to see icebergs in both the 10 and the 30 year. The spread is definitely down. The 6J is definitely moving down. Okay, well, they just busted right through one and then the other one pulled. Okay, Philadelphia Fed business outlook for May is 16.6. So they're all good. All the numbers are good. So I guess we could continue to go down and maybe test this 08. Well, I don't think that this is a place where I can take it. Unfortunately. Probably I should have put something at like 17.5. But that's okay. Okay, so a tick up, and it was a pretty strong uptick as well. But then they sold it, so probably some profit taking there. The volume really started to spit through there, didn't it? Yeah, so I think we're going to wait for a pullback. So now we can go on the rant. Okay, so here's the rant. Every time we talk about trade wars, there's always this warning, like this is the thing that they say about trade wars is they're like, well, we're gonna have a trade war with China. You know what that means, guys? That means that prices are going to go up. No fucking duh. That's kind of the whole point. The whole point, guys, of tariffs is to make prices go up because they're artificially low, you dingbats. Well, so why are you telling us that they're going to go up? Of course they're going to go up. That's the whole point. Sorry if I'm a little, but come on. It drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. 14. So I see a potential stop here, but they tend to go through those for 2 points. So I don't remember where I saw the initial one. Maybe it was at 15. So maybe they're done. I definitely wouldn't be buying this. They're back at 22 again. Is that where we were yesterday? The 6J really took a dive there. Let me take my 6J chart and make sure that I got more days than this. Like, let's take 15 days or something like that. Yeah. So the 6J is broke through a pretty significant resistance level from the past 3 days and is running. I mean, we could get some really crazy downtrend today. Ugh, and it's already gone so far, though. That's a tough call. Well, my reading of the chart here, though. My reading of the chart here, I think. Okay, so 15 would be the first stop. 14.5 to 15. So they're definitely gonna bounce there a little bit. Then the next number that I see below us is 10. So let's mark that. The little X. So why are things moving the way that they are? I guess what we're saying here today, I guess what the market is trying to say is that it was a pretty good spring. And the company earnings are coming through saying that things are still pretty strong. But I mean, come on, if we're going to have a trade war, that doesn't matter. But they might not care today. This has been a very sentiment driven market, with lots of trends going back and forth. They could sell the treasuries all day today and then come out tomorrow and just, go in a complete panic and move back up for all we know. Just based off of a true tweet or something. Seems pretty slow here at 15 half 16. They are gobbling into it, though. Okay. As it does so, there it looks like there's a relatively large iceberg there at 16. That might be our short. No, there you go. Pretty strong downtick. If I had taken 16 there, the problem was is that I was really uh, I saw a reason maybe they could go to 17, and I was looking for more of a like a tick one way that seems really strong and then nothing happens sort of a thing instead of an iceberg at the top. I think I should have taken it. Then we could have at least been, you'd at least have a tick on you. But I'm still a little suspicious about it. Okay, so there's an iceberg there at 15 as well. Curious. There's a pretty strong, though I guess one thing that also we should note is this liquidity right here in the 5-year. I think it might be smart for us to just be hands off for a while because sometimes when these happen, there is a second leg, but it can be like it can take a really long time to happen. And then when it does happen, it happens all at once, and you're like, oh. Alligator says, great start, but first leg probably over by now, waiting for the ES Open for a breakdown, in my opinion. By the way, did I say hi to everybody? Because we got Lucas and Uzi and Ron, and then of course JG Mod, who told us about the title earlier. Hi everybody. An alligator has 12 as first, as S1. Okay. $17 would be 50% retracement of this move since the open. Canadian data was also pretty good. Okay. So this 15.5 is still acting a little fishy. Like they're hitting into it and it's pulling. Okay, 15. Attorney General William Barr says he will not stop Mueller from testifying before Congress. Why wasn't Barr supposed to be like testifying right now? And then he said he couldn't. But then if Barr is saying that he's not stopping him, then why would Mueller do it? But maybe it's because Mueller just doesn't want to answer some questions. I mean, if I was him, I probably wouldn't want to testify. Not that I'm saying that he did something wrong, but just like there would be so much interest in it, and there'd be so many people gunning to get you to screw up on the hot seat, you know? It's not a fun thing, guys. Okay, well, they attempted to get above 15. They were not able to hold that bid. It appears relatively balanced, but the 30-year in particular seems kind of pointed down. I'm also detecting maybe some degree of mean reversion going on in the spreads. The E-mini is definitely moved. It's interesting we got such a huge move down in treasuries, but uh, 2-point move in the E-mini. Housing starts suffer seventh annual decline in a row despite surge in the Northeast. Single-family permits dropped to 782,000, the lowest since October 2016. So the housing starts continue to be bad, which is interesting because the rates are a lot better right now. Level 2 here between 14.5 and 15 has been kind of dancing back and forth. Okay. So the 5-year is now trying to tick into that low. It may just go and we might miss another chance, which would be unfortunate, but I mean, this is kind of starting to look like a significant trend down day. I should note, you know, treasuries have been up by quite a bit. And we have seen in the past that there is some correlation between treasuries and Bitcoin. That some people buy Bitcoin as a hedge against easy monetary policy, which I think is kind of silly. If you want to hedge against easy monetary policy, just buy bonds. But it has happened in the past, and some of the really big down moves in Bitcoin have come after rate increases. So if we're really going to do this, if we're really going to like move down, I wonder if that's enough to squeeze some people in Bitcoin. And maybe we could start the crazy over in Bitcoin. which would make me happy because it's too high and I want to see it suffer. Well, a decent amount trading into 0 3/4. Bitcoin as a hedge, no liquidity. I know, right? I mean, the whole thing is crazy, in my opinion. Cody says, glad I sold. Harry Munster, so both new names, by the way, welcome. I mean, it is kind of crazy to me, right? That anybody would say, anybody with a lot of money would say, well, the central bank, their monetary policy is too easy, so we should buy Bitcoin to get away from them. I mean, like, because the whole thing with the Treasury system is that they're providing you a way to hedge yourself against the easy monetary policy. You can buy the bonds and you can make money on the bonds going up. Like they're basically like, hey guys, here's this way that you can make money on what we're doing. And nobody wants to take advantage of it. Kind of weird, right? But I've seen it. Yeah, speculative hedge. I've seen it when they they're hitting into 13.5 now, new low. So it does indeed look like I missed it. I was hoping they were just going to give me another chance, but I'm just a little bit weary of just hitting into this thing. Even though I know that there's possibility and everything, it does seem to me to be a little bit too slow and methodical of a move down here for me to be getting myself excited and trying to take it as she goes. I may have to just sit and watch, which can be very painful, but I think that is better than taking a risky trade. Or rather a trade with a bad risk reward. Anyways, let's just say, like, I remember when we were like a year or so ago. Well, it's been over a year now, right? But like in 2017, when the big crash happened in Bitcoin, and we said the Federal Reserve raised rates that December. Remember? And I remember there was some guys in the Bitcoin channel saying that this is bad for Bitcoin, and I was like, well, I think it is bad for Bitcoin because there's going to be less money out there. So there's not going to be as much money for big guys to go in and buy Bitcoin. And so everything was just kind of set up right for there to be a sell. But I also said, I think it's silly that you would be buying or selling Bitcoin based on what the central bank is doing, because there's just not enough liquidity in Bitcoin for that sort of a thing to matter, right? But it did work. It was a good trade. Easy money equals easy gains. I think that if you've made easy money, you got to be a little bit suspicious, because here's the thing. If it's easy, then everybody would have already made all the money that they could have out of it in trading. If it's easy, they're gonna sell it and it's gonna go down there. And so you have to wonder, why would they not just continue? Now here in Treasuries, I think that we can say, okay, we had news that gave us a pretty significant push down, right? But when we look at how much is actually traded and all of that, and the amount that banks and institutions would have to hedge themselves if the treasuries really are going to move, then we're only just getting started. And it could be moving the way that it is because the banks just have to move too much. Oh yeah, easy money equals easy gains in terms of cheap to borrow, low rates. Gotcha. Yeah, because you can borrow for basically zero interest rates and then just go and put it into the market. And anything that you make is a profit. I'm an idiot for not going all in at 3K. No, you're not. No, you're not. I think that not getting in at 3K was a smart decision because um, whatever is going on right now in Bitcoin appears to me to be incredibly manipulated and based on a very, very short term trade, based on lack of exchange liquidity and Tether exploding and uh, Bitfinex basically being a fraud, and the market goes up. You got to sit there and say, and the way that it went up like all at once and everything, and we are already to overbought values based on my analysis of the blockchain. Not a technical indicator, but based on how much money people are actually moving around. So it's kind of more of an order flow based sort of a thing, I guess you could say. But my value based on how much people are transacting in Bitcoin, it says that we're crazy overbought. Possibly close to the most overbought we have ever been in Bitcoin, but not quite. It was worse during Mt. Gox. It was worse during Mt. Gox, but that Mt. Gox is not the thing that you want to be compared to, is it? It's not the thing you want to be compared to. That I remember when that happened. I remember them posting the picture of the chart when the insiders at Bitfinex sold. Oh my gosh, that was crazy. And if this, I mean, there's always a possibility that I'm very wrong and that I'm missing something. But if I'm right, then it's going to be just as ugly. Just as ugly. Iranian foreign minister Zarif that there is no place for Iran to negotiate with the United States. Okay. What are they doing? I remember Mt. Gox when it was the Magic the Gathering online exchange. I didn't know that that's right. That is what it was about. So remember we were saying that you'd probably be better off putting your money into Magic cards because at least you can play a game with them. I don't know. Like the thing that's sad is that I think that there's some room in some of the altcoins, right? Like I'm still bullish on Bitcoin Cash. I think that they got that Bitcoin SV thing out of the way. They gave us a really low price after that, and they are increasing adoption, and they're looking like a strong coin. But the market is tied to Bitcoin. The market's just going to go which way Bitcoin is. And if Bitcoin is overbought, then it's really hard for me to buy anything else. So I got a big wad of cash sitting in cash waiting to buy Bitcoin. And when it went to 3K, I said, well, it's possible because it's back into an average value, but I want to get a very, oversold condition. And I didn't get it. And then it immediately came back up. And I'm like, okay. I hear a lot of people saying Bitcoin is going to 50K in 2020/2021. So, yeah. And I hear that too. And that one kind of concerns me too, because a lot of those estimates are based off of, in the past, when it goes and it makes another bull run, how far does it go? And what is the time frames that it's been doing it and trying to extrapolate that out. So if it does happen, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy sort of a thing. But I don't think they can make it. Not without a change. Not without a change to the protocol. Because you get up that high, the network is going to become congested. The network is congested right now. If you can't just put any fee in that you want and expect to get filled in a reasonable amount of time. The memory pool has been full for quite some time. And if we were on a real bull run, like the one that we saw in 2017, when everybody and their dog is buying, okay, so that was a strong tick up in the 14 pulled. So they looks like that they're unwilling to push down to the low of the day yet. They they're not going to be able to keep it. Like, here's the thing that you got to consider is like, I want to draw a picture, but I don't know how I could draw this. Okay, I'm just gonna say, here's the world. Okay, here's the world, and of people in the world, the goal of Bitcoin is to get everybody in the world to use Bitcoin. All right, that's never gonna happen, but that's the goal. All right. Now here is like the percentage of people that are in the place in their life and of the type of persuasion that they would even put money into an asset as speculative as Bitcoin. Okay. And that's the amount of money that's there. Okay. That could potentially be there if we were like at an all-time high. Okay. And then there's this little bit right here. Let's just make it that big so that we have some room to draw. And this is the Bitcoin community, or rather, these are the people that are actively following the price of Bitcoin. Okay. And now I'm going to make another little pie chart, another little slice, and it's like this. Well, actually, there's two slices. Okay. Here, this right here is going to be the people that are that have a business invested in Bitcoin right here. Okay. These guys, this little bit right here. Okay. That means that you're mining or you're offering some sort of payment service, something that actually works on Bitcoin and you make money from doing it. Okay. These people have a reason to continually transact in Bitcoin. They always need to be buying and selling Bitcoin. Okay. There are people that, because they actually do business transactions with Bitcoin, they have to buy it. And there are people that because they mine Bitcoin, they have to sell it. And so this provides a certain base amount of blockchain activity. Okay. So these people are always involved in the market in some way. All right. This right here is people that are long Bitcoin right now, right? And based on my indicator, if I was to fill this in as the number of people that are actively watching Bitcoin that are long, it looks like this, right? Boom. Okay. So what does that tell us? Of the people that are out there that are, that are watching Bitcoin and could potentially, maybe sitting there waiting to click the button, most of them are already in. So in order for price to continue to move up, you have to go into the general public. Now I am seeing some indication that even now that some of the general public are starting to get in as well, because I've been seeing Facebook posts about it. So, okay. But basically the gist of it is that in order for Bitcoin to move up, to continue to move up, you have to bring new people into the market. Okay. Now with hype, that can continue to go, until it fills almost this whole circle, right? But historically that never happens. Historically, that never happens because of these guys right here, right? This little slice right here, there has to be a certain amount of activity. And if they aren't getting enough business from the increase in the price of Bitcoin, and you see that by looking at the blockchain and looking at how much blockchain activity there is. If they don't have that certain amount of activity, then there's not enough rotation in Bitcoin. There's not rotation in Bitcoin, and so you can't continue to have people come in and out and move price up. So then instead what happens is we kind of start to do this thing. And have you seen this? Nothing happens. Right? That's what I think is going to happen. Is that you are seeing a bull run because of speculative interest, but there is not enough there. There's not enough underlying activity. The people that are getting in are only in for speculation reasons. They're not even pulling their coins out of the exchange so that they can actually use it, because there's no reason to use Bitcoin anymore. It's too expensive to actually use it for anything. So you just speculate with it. And that means that if there is any kind of break in the price, all right? So if we got below, probably right now, let's do a little bit of a technical analysis. Look at it now. When I come here and I look at this move up right here, okay. So there is a little bit of a, there's a little bit of a support above. Well, it's actually 7,600, but let's just give them some room and kind of, more eyeball it. Let's just say 7,500. So if you were able to get a strong sell impulse below 7,500, then at that point, all of these people that are speculating, all of these guys, this whole swath of people right here, right, have no reason to be long Bitcoin anymore because it's moving down. And the only reason they're in it for speculation reasons, and if it's not going up anymore, then they have no reason to be out. And the most sensible thing for them to do is to sell it as quickly as possible. Right? And then we're going to come all the way back down to here. And you're going to keep moving until you get back to where it's just these guys that have their business invested in it. Right? And where is that going to be at? Well, based on my historical calculations and everything like that, it's like somewhere around 1,000. Right? So that's why I would not recommend being in Bitcoin right now. Wait until it's just the business people in there. Then you get in there and then you can watch it and see and eyeball, okay, too many people now. Can you get out? Get what I'm saying? Good morning, Ace, by the way. Now you're saying, let's see if 25 can test. If we even got to 10,000 in Bitcoin, it would be the most overbought that Bitcoin has ever been. So, unless we start to see a significant change in Bitcoin. And that's where I'm saying the best thing that Bitcoin could do right now is increase the blockchain. But then if they do that, I think that Blockstream would lose all credibility now, because it would basically be like, you spent all this time fighting against it and then you turned out to be wrong. Why should we trust you with the project? This tweet earlier from First Squawk: Iranian Foreign Minister Zarif, there is no place for Iran to negotiate with the United States, is kind of starting to weigh on my mind. There seems to be some concern out there. There seems to be some concern out there about there being a war with Iran. And at the moment, it looks like that Iran wants there to be a war almost. I just don't understand what is coming out of them over there. McAfee says Bitcoin will be $1 million in 2020. Well, that's probably because he's long. But I don't think it will be. I don't think that they can get above. I don't think that they can get above 15,000 and stay there for very long without a protocol change. You have to give people a reason to use it. Ace says he's looking for a good short. You know what? I think I'm totally with you on this one, dude. They bought, well, actually, here's the thing. My take on it right now, Ace, is that they seem to have bought based on Walmart earnings, Cisco earnings, and some pretty good economic numbers, like the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index. He says he missed it at 2650. Well, there it is right there. Can try it for Phil. I think that they might fill me. They might. Anyways, so the market seems bullish to me. But I think that the larger problem when the trade war and all that sort of stuff still exists, right? So this is just an opportunity for us to sell it higher. At some point, it will be an opportunity to sell it higher. I'm not sure if I'm concerned that the momentum might push us up. So that's interesting. They didn't really, not very much traded into 2862.50, and we didn't come even close to getting a fill. Okay, treasuries take a tick down. Now they came back up. E-mini down on the further downside. Pretty skeptical about getting filled now at this point, but I think when I look at where we're at and everything, I think that I would have to hold to that. Yeah. Kind of interesting there. So did you see how it ticked up? They pulled it. They made it look like it was going to go through, but then we didn't get any fills at 2862.50. It's very curious. It's been pretty quiet on the news front too, by the way. None of my squawks have posted anything in like 20 minutes. I'm looking over here at it like, is there something wrong with TweetDeck? But then it is printing other stuff, was just not Tweets from non-market related people. We doing decent iceberg at 15 in the 10-year. The way the volume has been ticking, though, they could continue to buy. This whole thing is interesting. So there they did it again, and they still didn't fill me. But as the E-mini ticked, the treasuries moved. Okay, so it filled me. Man, that was about as good of a fill as you could possibly get in the equity futures, isn't it? to catch it and not have it tick against you. Okay, well now they're gonna tick against me. But I guess that just shows that there definitely was something about that price. Doesn't it? See, treasuries still here seem to be unsure. Like, I think that if we got another little bit of a sell and we got below our price again, the treasuries might tick up. Yep, sure enough. They kind of tepidly bought, but then this one stopped and this one didn't go. Okay. So now I need to come back in here and look, and where am I looking for it to go and all that sort of stuff. 60 would be a good spot. Also 53. Lucas says they are doing the zipper. Yeah. Well, the chart looks kind of interesting, doesn't it? We should look at this chart over here. Okay. So there was actually quite a bit of delta long going in here and it not being able to get up. And then we came up and we actually got an overbought condition. My robot might have actually taken that. I forgot to turn that on. But something potentially going on in the treasuries. They're getting too range bound, and there might be some pressure building up now. But now that they're back down to the middle and the adaptive CCI, that says that they're relatively balanced again. It's still ticking slow. Like we got some positive excursion, but it's slow. Normally I see those 25K at 13.5 as a level to continue going down. This time they didn't. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you're saying we've moved down and we have developed enough volume down at the bottom that there could be room to try and extend the range again. Well, I think that there still is, but that's kind of the problem, is that when you get into this sort of a thing, I remember I said that probably they might be really, really slow for a long time. And sure enough, that's what they're doing. Okay, now that time the E-mini ticked up just a teeny tiny little bit, and the ZN is ticking down like maybe they want to test the lows now. They sucked me into it. So does that mean that you sold 13.5? I mean, there it goes. I don't know if they're going to go for it, but it's sitting right there on the edge. You could maybe see, by the way, I haven't been getting my alerts. I should turn that on.
Block sell.
Cool. And I need to change the
Block
setting
buy.
to be how much is a block trade should be 3,000. There we go. Cool. Okay, so the E-mini is kind of trying higher a little bit here, but then they backing off of it. It does look like perhaps an ascending triangle of sorts. Trey points out there's lots of selling. Okay. Oh, Lucas said 14. I didn't want to risk the lows exit. I don't want to take a loss. Well, it's a little curious. The E-mini is potentially testing lower, but the treasuries are still sitting down at the bottom. This is one where sometimes I would put the stop order right here. I think I want to focus on my E-mini trade, but I would put the stop order there at 13 and try and get filled as they go through. And then they would make me fill, but then, and maybe even go down a tick, but then reverse or something like that. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of a sell impulse now in the E-mini. They're right there at a support though. At 28.60.50 is 10. Okay. So they push it. At this time of day and slightly above yesterday's high, ES will probably close its gap. Then we'll see if it can bounce or not. Oh, it's a good point. That would be 53. I could actually move this down to here with keeping a sharp eye if we get to 20. Okay. Curious. So there was a 5K iceberg at 13.5, which is a pretty good actual sign of strength in the downtrend. But things are really slow, and in this kind of action, taking the level break at 13.5 is probably ill-advised. And we are starting to get some more selling in the E-minis. It was kind of just a natural. It kind of looks like a natural move down, but the timing of it is curious. And it does very much look to me like what Alligator's saying, like maybe they are trying to close a gap. Let's give a trade here in the interest rate channel. He says there's 2 points that I didn't take. Wait, was that the 2 points? Oh, you're right. It is the 2 points. Come on, Ace. I took it. You didn't take it? Well, I didn't get 2 points. I got. Oh, no, actually, it was 2 points, wasn't it? So, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to at least move this here, right? Peter says good times. Yeah, Alligator says that might be a clue for more downside. Only range seems a bit wide. And Peter saying good times, pointing out that we did break a pretty key level there in Treasuries. Yeah. Okay. think that the animals can hear my wife stirring around upstairs. Hmm. Okay. So there is some liquidity down below us in the E-mini. Ticking up a little bit. It's hard to make a read out of that wall at lows at 13. Yeah, so in this situation, um, I don't know if you can see it, but here on the Vista chart, hold on. Oh, here's the open. I probably don't want to be in this anymore. But let's give it a chance, I guess, because we can just break even, right? Um, so what you should do is keep a really close eye on this liquidity at 13. And sometimes what you might see is you might see it stack to like 65, 7,000, and then you'll watch us bounce off of it. It'll be really subtle. It'll happen really quickly, but you'll see you can see it happen many times. I've seen that. Vice versa if it pulls below 5,000. Okay, so quite a bit back and forth right now. The buyers are making a little bit of a push. Let's see if they go up, stop us out. I guess so. Well, I didn't get any slippage on it, so that's cool. You can say they are really holding, and you can also say they are really selling. Right? Alligator says, this morning I listened to a radio show speaking about a 3-scenario study, all losers. In the worst case, 2 million jobs destroyed, but no idea how long it takes to see impact in stats. Well, it's going to be really unfortunate if I took that off at break even. They only went through it by 2 ticks, and then we do end up moving down and closing the gap. But I think I did what my plan was. Obviously, we know that my plan is not perfect, but I think we did what the plan was. So that they went and did that, there's nothing you can do. Although I suppose one thing is that I probably could have closed it at, 15 plus $15 and taken that and said that I don't want to be in the open. But I had enough banked into it that I've been saying that if I have enough banked into it that I can wait and see the open and see if I get it. So it wasn't bad, but did what I did. Do you see it throttling there at 13? They'll kind of add a little bit and then pull it, and then add a little bit more and then pull it. And sometimes they will give you a tell. Okay, right there, 4. There's also the size at 12. Okay. So there's a big iceberg there at 13 that we just ended up selling into off of the stop order. And an uptick. That sucks. E-mini looks fairly bullish though. And look at how much is stacked at 14. Yeah, if they hit that 13 again, I think that we could run for a bit. Okay, so there's ES hitting, going long. Okay, so now they tick down and there's almost nothing at 13. And they tick through it, no problem. Although it is trying to climb back up. Oh, they stacked a little bit on there. The 5-year is really went. So if this trade works out, there is of course the wall at 12, but I'm going to guess that they're going to go for this spot down at 10, especially if the E-mini keeps buying. So they've still got a little bit of delta to make up from that sell that we kind of caught in the E-mini. I got my eye on this 12 here. Still mad that I didn't take 16 when they did the signal there and there was an iceberg. Mm-hmm. Okay. So there was a big iceberg at 13 that we hit into, right? And we moved up. Now there's a big iceberg at 12 half, and there's some big size at 12. If they sell that, that's going to be, then we really could be in a trend day. Well, they didn't go for it that time. The 10-year volume is really, really coming down, though. Sorry, the cumulative delta. They haven't made a new cumulative delta low, even though they made a new um, price low. Okay, so they took that one relatively aggressively that time. And there's a lot hitting into 31.5 in the 5 year. They've stacked over 2,000. Okay, about 2,000 have pulled off of 12. They're stacking and pulling it, but 2,000 pulled at one point. When that was 2,000, that pulled off. 12F going back and forth a lot, so that our spot at 13 is probably okay. It's a little odd to make a new low in zipper like this, though. I think there's still, like when I look at the cumulative deltas and everything, this kind of looks like a squeeze, and it doesn't look like they're done yet. We got a lot of people watching today again. If you haven't said hi, I love to know at least who's watching. Doesn't mean you have to stay in chat, but I love to know. Okay, so now I see again. They stacked 2,500 this time, which is even more. They didn't pull down to 4,000. They pulled to 5,000. A little bit of hitting into it, but not super strong. Maybe because the 5 year is not taking this 31.5. If 31.5 goes offer and they stack a ton at 31.5, I wonder if this 12 just completely pulls and they just go right through it. Nope. Level 2 flipped in the 5 year and we ticked up. Okay, so the delta equalized in the 5 year. They're still moving up though. There's a little bit of liquidity up above us that they might be trying to go for. Okay, we went offer here at 12.5, but it's 6,000 bid again. That 6,000 is not pulling. I did see there was one target at 10, and that's actually pulled a little bit. And I think that they put it a step lower at the 09, which is a little curious. I don't see anything terribly interesting or indicative on the other side, other than that in the 5 year, there's definitely liquidity stacking above us now. E-mini just touching now into that first step of liquidity. There's another one above us at 2870. We went offer and it's still 6,000 bid at 12. Okay, so they stacked 35 and now they've pulled to 5,000. They've stacked more on it now at 20. Every time that we've ticked down and they've stacked on the 12.5, it's been more. First it was 1,500, then it was 2,000, then 2,500, now 3,500. Okay, they ticked down. Only 35.97 actually traded to trade through 12. I think there was some real stops there. That was quite a bit of volume. That was about 5,000 of orders that just hit there to take us to 11.5. E-mini pushing up through that level of liquidity. Now I'm seeing one at 28.71. The way that this is ticking looks like a trend day to me. Notice that we have taken pretty big numbers almost every step, right? There was an iceberg at 13. There was an iceberg at 12 half. Okay, 35.97 at 12. But then there's an iceberg at 11 half. Now they're trading through 11. Hmm. So now that we're at +4, that 11 is being a little finicky. I think I want to do this. Even though I think that we're in a trend day. I would sell it there at 11. Hmm. I'm still kind of erring on the side of caution. I think that today is a trend day. The way that this, well, so I should be a little, I should be careful with my words here. Okay, cool. +4. Happy. think I'm happy with that. Um, so the thing is that when I look at the chart and I look at the absorption, it looks like a trend day. But when I look at the velocity, it's not there yet. It's not quite there yet. And there's just so much absorption here at 11. The target was still 10. It seems to me though that there is some higher time frame people coming in here. Okay. So I took the fill in the right spot. That doesn't mean that there's not more in this. It's just that um, I would be looking at a separate move now at this point because you're getting some people in here. There's actually quite a lot going back and forth here between 10 and sorry 11 and 11 and a half. That could be enough to push it again, but I don't know. I don't have a strong enough tell. I think that thing in there. Okay, so good question. Smash the Bid says, how are you measuring velocity? So, um, so velocity has to do with how it's ticking, how excited the market appears. All right. When I look at the chart, look at how icebergy it is, or rather how zippery it is. Lots of zippers. Here, 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 here. Now down, and it's actually being pretty slow here at 11 as well. Now there's a 10K iceberg at 11. So that's where I'm saying, okay, if it's a trend day, we will tend to see something quite exciting. The break that I caught was pretty good, but what we tend to get is like really exciting. And we're not seeing that yet. And that's and I guess the scenario that I'm trying to highlight or say is possible is that we may get to 10 and go through 10 and then start making a run at this liquidity at 09, 08. I don't see anything beyond that. Maybe 28.5, that's way down there, but you know. So we might see a break of this and a move through this liquidity right here. And it would be really it would be quite exciting. And if the E-mini continues to tick up the way that it is, could be really good, right? If ES keeps rallying, it's going for 28.84.25. So this is still a good 10 points above us. And I can't see that far on the liquidity though. Okay, so now they are ticking at 10.5. So this is where it can start to get difficult because there's big icebergs at almost every step. And wrong agrees there too. There's a gap there in untested value level. In ES? Oh, you're right. You are correct, sir. That was that gap on the 10th that we never filled. Welcome to Treasuries, wrong. Given that we're now trading at 10.5, I think there's an okay probability that we're going to get to 10. That's where it's like I think that I took the move that I wanted to. There's more in it, but I'm erring on the side of caution. But sure enough, look, it's just going. This really does. This is really starting to look like a trend day. And if it's a trend day, where would we go? If it's a trend day, I wouldn't be surprised to see 124.08 half. Okay, there's 08 half on here. And then below that, there's 124. Yeah. 123.24. I still keep thinking about that iceberg that I saw at 16 that I was like, as it was happening, I was like, this could be it, and I didn't take it. But then, if I had caught that one, surely I would have taken it off at 13.5, right? And if I had taken that one, maybe I wouldn't have taken the trade that I did at 13. So I think I'm getting myself a little agitated over something that wasn't a big deal. But I just keep mentioning that because I feel like that explains my emotional state. Like my emotional state is like afraid of missing out on something on a good move. I made a 4 ticker there. I could have been a. It looks like it could have been 6 ticks if we get 10 here because I did have my target at 10. But when I saw the 10K, I took it off. Now look, there's 7K at 10 half. What's our new guy Trey saying here? Lucas says, I asked for a trend and what do I do? Nothing. Well, you were. I think that when you said that, what you really meant was, I want a trend long. Ah, that's what you were really thinking, wasn't it? What's this picture that Uzi just posted here? Oh yeah. He's got the level posted there in the e-mini for you guys. See, that's the sort of thing. If you haven't checked out the Discord, I know that many of you guys have not, but Discord is a free application. It runs in your web browser. It's a really great, trusted application. Almost all of the gamers exclusively use Discord now, so you can go in there, say hi, and they will give you permission so that you can post pictures and post the pictures in Discord. Because when you post it in Discord, it's like it's easy for us to search back on it and find it. And the Discord has just been such a great educational resource, and that's a really great place for that sort of stuff. And he's saying CB maybe would test 05. What I noticed was that the overnight session was in a small range. We did break out of the range to the top side, but they started to sell afterwards, so it seemed like a false breakout. Is he talking about ES in that respect? I don't know. They are trading into 10 though, so it does look like, there's 1,500 traded there. Probably a pretty good chance that we could get filled. But it's interesting to me that now that we're at 10, they're not stacking the liquidity there. Well, okay, so they did back off of it, but they weren't stacking 6 there. They now they have it at 09 and 08. So this kind of behavior is again indicative of a trend day. They'll come down and they'll take out a thing. They'll either trade through it or it will just completely pull, and then you will see more liquidity show up below, and it's like they just keep going for it and it gets yanked out of the way, and they just kind of skip down. The thing that really makes me think that this strong possibility of this being a trend day is the amount of absorption that we get at every level. And even though we're getting 10K icebergs, they more than easily tick through it for 2 ticks.
Order pending.
Okay, so my robot just took an order. What is it? It's taking a long here. So it thinks that we overextended and that we're getting a strong buy now. Curious. Why is my, I need to refresh this. Okay. I see. But that was like 10 bars ago, wasn't it? Oh, no. It was. It was quite down there. Wow. They really sold and absorbed it. So I think that my robot might be getting faked out here. Because it took it long. Where did it get it at? Oh, this is interesting. I'm nerding out here, folks. I hate that it doesn't show you the average price. It doesn't show you in ticks. So I can't see exactly what price it took. I'd really like to know that. Is there a way for me to show to see that? Properties, maybe? No. There's no way to get it to show you ticks. Well, it does show me the buy, and it says it was at 11. So it probably didn't get the best price. Probably could have gotten 10 half, but it's okay. There is some buy volume coming in here, so it must not be reading some. It must not be crazy here. There's a pretty big thing up at 28.80. I guess. Why don't I like it? I guess it's because I don't think that ES is done. It hasn't closed the gap yet. But it did take it long. But there's the other interesting thing. What time is it? 7:59. It seems like it always ends up taking a trade at 7:59, and it's based on volume. But there's something about this time of day that it's like the same thing keeps happening. So we may have stumbled upon a different edge that I might be able to try and figure out why you tend to get that kind of action at this time of day and take advantage of it. Okay, so there was 10K offered at 11 and they traded through it. I'm sitting here like hating this trade that the robot just took, but so far it's looking pretty good. Especially if when it triggered, you had put it on a limit order instead of just market buying into 11. ZB failed overnight at old untested value, dropped back into the weekly value area. So now we test the weekly value area, and there's a link here. 13. Oh, and he has a blue line like way down there. Yeah, those are the same levels that I'm looking at where I'm saying ZN could go to 124 even. Well, is that where I said? Oh, you know what? I'm not even showing the right window. Boo. Look, 10K. Right there, you can see it. Sorry for you guys watching on replay. When I look at where's 124, it's in the middle of this range down here. See? So it is kind of the same spot, but they match up very differently in ZN and ZB. ZB moved up a lot more than the other ones. Back when we were moving up. So how long have I had the chart up like that? It's very curious. It could just be because the first 30 minutes of the equities, I suppose, could be a reason for that to happen. It's very interesting. Going to need more volume down here to keep this trend going, and ZB needs juice. I think that some people took some profits there. That thing up, the robot got some good favorable excursion, but now he's break even. Still don't like it because of the E-mini. Uzi says I did, lol. You did what? Oh, was there a message that my thing didn't catch? No, I don't see it. Now the trend will continue because I'm out, right? While I'm sitting here thinking, well, there's where I got out at 11. I mean, there's a pretty good stack there at 12. I mean, it seems like it would be a good place to sell it for the hopes of another rung lower. If it really is a trend day, should be careful because I say it's a trend day, but it could always be a double distribution day, and the distribution could be here. That was a lot of volume that traded at 13.5. That's just a real break. $70,000 that traded there. Now we've come down. But I think that when I look at the deltas and everything, um, I do believe that the guys that got stopped out there, they're probably out. Value areas and untested levels are one of those things I realized I wasn't paying attention to after a day of losing money, so I started looking at them. Good reference points, if for nothing else. Yeah. Well, I think that any volume profile level ends up mattering. You know, ends up being something that's at least interesting to look at and investigate. You know, like single prints for me. We don't have a ton of single prints around here, but we traced through them all. But on that first move, like when we started breaking through, it looked pretty likely that we were going to trade 15. That's why I didn't take it, because 15 right there was like the single print, and it's like, well, they might not go through it. And then it came back, and then there was some volume there when it broke down through. And then I was trying to get a good price, and every time that it was even like what 2 ticks up, and I wasn't takeable. And then I ended up selling 13 instead on the break, which is just super. I mean, the as she goes in that situation, I think is a really high probability trade. So I took a good trade, but man, it could have been so much better. I could have taken more than 8 ticks today if I had really been on the ball and was willing to really be a little bit more gutsy. I still feel cautious. I don't see them going past yesterday's lows, but who knows? That's 124.08. Yeah. Okay. Uzi, you just need to spot real time activity confirm, which of course is always challenging. I told my wife, like, realistically, we all have to wait for the market to get to a price it isn't willing to trade. It sounds so dumb and easy, but if you can catch that in real time, you're basically a god. Yeah, well, I don't think it's like you're god, but the way I would present it, and I think we talked about this the other day, it seems to me when you're looking at trading, and you're the retail guy, right? The whole game here is they're trying to get you to make the wrong decision. If they know they probably don't know for sure, but if the market is going to move down, then the market is going to want to try and make you buy. Hey Gabriel, how's it going? I haven't seen you in a few days. Anyways, if the market's going to go down, then the market is going to try and convince you to buy it, and vice versa, because that's how they make money. Is it has to come from somebody, and so the whole thing is going to be you want to be the guy that ends up being right, and you want everybody else to be wrong, and so the market maker is going to try and fool you. That the whole game is about him trying to fool you. If that's why trading from a retail perspective is very different once you start trading a bunch of contracts, because then you're the person everybody's watching, and you have to behave in a way that allows you to get done what you need to get done, but tricks everybody else. And so that's why you get those sorts of things where it's like it'll tick up. It'll be a strong tick. There will be a lot of volume stack up below it, and then nobody will trade into the next price, and all of a sudden it flips on its head exactly down, because it's all designed to try and get people to buy into the next price, and then when it doesn't, it comes back down. Right? It's all about trying to trick you. And so if you're going with limit orders, you always want to catch that razor edge. You're trying to get a price that it's hard for you to get filled. If it ends up being easy, then you're maybe not in the right spot. Doesn't mean that it's a bad trade, but it's maybe not in the right spot. And Gabriel says, very happy. I got a 4-tick winner, so I guess I'm feeling pretty good. I think I'm feeling good because, can I see it here? Yeah, I can. Okay. Oh, wait, hold on a second. I gotta change something. Got to add on to here. Filter. I think that I can just say if account begins with a 1. Okay. Have they all been live this week? No. Yeah, it is. It's curious. If I come back this far though, then it changes, right? Yeah. Okay. So if I pull this over here, this week, that's what I've been trading. So I have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trade win streak. Now they've been small ones. I've never taken more than 4. Interestingly enough, my MES trades are actually pretty good too. They were getting like 10, 11, and 13 ticks favorable excursion, and I just didn't take profits, so very much profits on them, which that's interesting. And was there any of them that were like really, well, these ones were bad, of course. But ever since that, I've been on a good win streak. And those are all with the live account. So I am pretty happy. 200. That should put me at, well, I don't know what it is. This doesn't matter. But it's good. It's good for a time period that last year I did very poorly in. Because what happened to me last time was we kind of got into the lull period and it didn't do very well. And then when we got into the strong market action, I ended up being the wrong direction or just tilty. And so I totally screwed everything up. And then the summer came. So then I was trying to think that it was still going to be, still going to move, and it was the summertime. Shalom Dum says I saw the yield curve invert again yesterday. So which part? As long as it's not the 10 and 2, I don't read too much into it. But if I just bring back you know what? I never put it on here. I should put it on. Indicators. Spread. Yeah, I don't want to do it right now because I really need to change it. But you can see that yesterday, if we come back to the charts. Okay. Yeah. So when we look at yesterday, the spread was steepening quite a bit. And now today, flattening. So it's turned around. The 3-month and the 10-year. Yeah. So here's why when you look at the news and they'll talk about it, oh, this portion of the yield curve inverted. It's a big deal. You got to remember that the maturity matters very much so, because if they're saying the 3-month and the 10-year, then what they're really saying is that over the next 3 months, things might be little turbulent, or at least there's enough of a probability about things being turbulent that some people are being cautious about it. And those people that are in there for that 3-month time frame are being more cautious than the people that are on the 10-year time frame, because the people that are on the 10-year time frame, that's enough that you pretty much aren't affected by any one recession. Okay? When it's the 2 and the 10, it matters because 2 years, that's about the amount of time that you're going to have to run through the full cycle of a recession, like, going down and then recovering. So that's why it matters when the 2 and the 10 inverts, and the other sides are not, they might not necessarily be the reason for a lot of panic. Okay, so we're at 13 now. I could potentially take it short here again. I think, though, based on the time of day, that I have about 15 minutes left. And I got a good trade, and I've been doing pretty good just catching like one winner and then ending it. I think I might just continue to do that. Shalom says it looks like Bitcoin has one more run up to new highs before I pull back. So when I look at Bitcoin, if I can just, I'm going to just, so let's go back to the main chart. Here's Bitcoin. I make it big. Okay. Let's really zoom in here and draw some pictures and stuff. Okay. So I see a kind of a line right here. Okay. So like 7,500 seems to be kind of like a key point. Then there's this support right here, about. I'm not trying to be exact. And then there was this high point right here. And then there's the middle at 8. Right? Okay. So this is the range. Okay. This right here is balance, essentially. So we're right in the middle of it. We are balanced. That's the take. So when we're at the balanced area is where the probability is the most uncertain, because what the balance area means is that people are equally willing to buy and sell it at that particular area. The further away from the balance that we're going to get, the more that the sellers are going to want to take it because the risk reward favors them. And the further down we get it, the more the buyers are going to want to take it because the risk reward favors them. But the probability is worse for them, right? the risk reward increases, your probability decreases. So the further up here we get, the more likely we are to go through, and the further down here we get, the more likely we are to get through. But big key here is that they are holding this 7,800 for now. So if we break through 7,800, then I might start to think, okay, maybe they're going to try and test this. Now you could see something where I'm like speculating so much here, but that's what I do, guys. That's what we're here for. You might see something like this. Here's that low area. You might see something like this. Oops, just kidding. You might see that. But you could also see, boom, or even like, you know, I that's just based off of this area. My indicator says that the probability is that we move down. And if we don't move down, then things just become more and more dire. Like the further they push on this thing above, what is it, a reasonable value for Bitcoin to be at? The more ugly it is going to be when they sell. So that's where that's at. I guess I should add in here the delta thing. Cool. So what does the delta show us in Bitcoin right now? The delta shows us that up through here, some people were buying, and then through here, they have all taken profits. So we are, in fact, balanced. And this would be a place where if I was a short and I really wanted to initiate something, it would be worth trying. If you were a whale and all that kind of fancy stuff. There's always a pullback. I agree. I hope it does anyways. Well, this is the thing, is that if they actually fail a critical level here, it was not just going to be a pullback. Those people are going to jump out so quick. 6,800 unconfirmed Bitcoin transactions. What could be the impact on price? So, my take on the unconfirmed transactions. So, the first thing is that when it comes to what the actual price of Bitcoin is, like right now versus tomorrow, the transactions on the blockchain don't necessarily matter. Because people can buy it and then sell it on the exchange and just keep it all on the exchange, right? So there's nothing to stop it from moving up. But if I want to buy it, take it off of the exchange and put it into a cold wallet so that I can hold it somewhere, or take it off of the exchange so I can actually use it, like transfer it into a different cryptocurrency, buy things with it through an online retailer, not that anybody does that in Bitcoin anymore, then you can't use it, right? So in order to get more buying activity in Bitcoin, you would want people to be able to do that. And so because the blockchain is basically unusable right now, it puts a hard cap on price. I'm not exactly sure where that cap is on price. I just know that my data that I have right now says that we are overbought. Ergo, probably we don't get too much further. But yeah, the unconfirmed transactions is like a problem. And excuse me, my wife just woke up and the animals are all waking up. You know what? I did another thing that I had forgotten. It was that I wanted to make sure that I recorded this all to my disk so that I could like make highlights, and I forgot to do that. Oh well. Anyways, yeah. So the problem is going to be that If we come up here and now we collapse at 8,000, then you're going to get something that has never actually happened in Bitcoin before. Because then when you look at the larger term chart, and I'm just going to draw it here for you instead of looking at the chart because it'll be a little bit more fuzzy, but you're going to get something like, okay, here was a move, here's Mount Gox, here is the last run, and then here's this run. Oh no. Okay, that's never happened because each bull run, continues higher in Bitcoin. And if we get a crash before that, that's going to negatively affect sentiment in a very, very bad way. And then at that point, they're going to have to sit back and say, oh, maybe we do need to increase the block size. But then everybody would lose confidence in them. And maybe Bitcoin Cash would take over at that point because they've just done a better job and they were right. You know? Everyone I know is waiting for the pullback so they can buy in. Most of them sold at 38. Well, so that would be an interesting place to sell at. But if everybody is looking for the pullback, that's kind of a big warning sign for you, because you need to get rotation. You know what I mean? So like, I make a move. And see, I could have sold it. I said that I wasn't going to. I could have sold it though. At 13 would have been a nice one. You have a move down. There's some absorption, and then we have a pullback. Okay. If there's rotation, then what happens is this pullback is guys getting out, and as these guys are getting out, other guys are getting in to go for another short, and then it goes down and it goes for another new low. Right? If too many people are buying it on the pullback, then all of a sudden there's an incentive to stop them out. And so then that pullback becomes a reversal, right? But I would say if Bitcoin fails here, it's going to happen so fast that those guys aren't going to have the guts to try and catch it. I have 6.5, 5.5 is possible. Either way, it's the last one. Yeah, I don't know. I think that if the way that it has been overbought here, if it drops, it's going to happen too quickly. It's not going to be like a lackadaisical, it's going to be like a 2017 crash where in less than a week it drops 80%. Today is a cool day for the scalper. Yeah, it is. So Swiss is saying use the jigsaw tool is faster than day trader. So are you saying you should use the one that's into NinjaTrader? I'm skeptical that it would be faster. I still don't think see, my update interval is still 7 over here. So I don't actually have it that high. I don't think that it's exactly necessary. Like those milliseconds, you as a human, it doesn't matter. But maybe it can look a little bit smoother and nicer and sometimes, I guess. But I don't know. I think that being tied to NinjaTrader is, being able to have your execution completely separate so that if NinjaTrader dies and the charts have to restart, I think is enough of an advantage for me to not want to do it that way. Just compare it. Have one connected through. Well, I guess I would want to use one as just like the straight up the jigsaw tools instead of doing it as a. All investors dream of 1K Bitcoin. It's the nature of traders to be bearish coming out of a bear market. Well, that's all fine and dandy. That's true. I mean, here's the thing. Being optimistic pays a lot better than being pessimistic, doesn't it? But I'm not saying what I'm saying because of some sentiment thing, right? You remember. Holy shit, it's at 191. That's just so fucking insane. It's just so insane. $16 Bitcoin. I'm saying what I'm saying because I have a indicator that has a historical probability that says that when it gets above here, there's going to be a crash. It's going to happen. This is like an 80% probability that this thing is about to die and die hard, and it's going to be worse than this. Because this market is propped up by fraud most likely. The only time that it ever gets above here, this right here is like peak bubble, okay? If it gets above that,
Order filled.
okay, so my robot just got out. What did it end up with? I think it ended up with nothing, didn't it? Yeah. He did get some favorable excursion on it, though. That's interesting. He got 11 to 13, couldn't he? Yeah. It's a really good entry, but I still need to come up with better exits. Anyways, the Bitcoin thing. Okay. Here. When does it get above that? Mount Gox. Fraud. So, I say when this crashes is going to be pretty ugly. The market's probably propped up by fraud. And when it breaks down, you can try and catch it. But I'm going to bet you. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm going to bet that when it gets down there, you're not going to have the guts to click in. Because at that point, it will become so obvious about what is happening that nobody's going to want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. Not trying to mess with your head or anything like that. I'm just trying to give you my honest opinion. I should point out I am not a certified investment advisor. I am not trying to tell you should do this or not. I'm just giving you my opinion. My opinion is that Bitcoin is dangerously overbought. So there you have it. I know for sure that the Dow Jones index is propped up by fraud for sure, and the bond market. Well, so first of all, I don't think that you can prove that. And second of all, even if you could, that's not the subject, right? The subject is that Bitcoin is dangerously overbought. What creates that blue line? Good question, Dom Russo. And I can't tell you 100% because that's the secret. And if I told you, then everybody would have it. But I will tell you that it is based on transactions on the actual blockchain. And the overall theory behind it is that what gives Bitcoin value is the ability to make transactions. And so we're looking at how much people are actually using the blockchain to make a judgment about whether we are overbought or oversold. Basically, the amount of transactions on the blockchain have to support the price movements. And when we get, above 150, they don't. The Fed prints money and buys. Well, of course we know it. Everybody knows that. They post out a little spreadsheet every month that tells you how much they did. That's not necessarily fraud. That's like, hey, we're gonna do something. Why don't you front run us? They do it on purpose. But anyways, was that a good enough explanation for you, Dom, about what my indicator does? So I post this chart every day on my Patreon. So if you look down in the video description, I have a link to the Patreon. If you sign up for the Patreon, it's $5 a month. Then you get to see this chart every day. I do show you guys when it's like overbought. It's like I want everybody to know. When it's down at the low, I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to be quiet. I'm like, oh yeah, it's down below 50. I should buy it. And I'm going to buy it. And all of the Patreon guys, they're going to buy it. And if you're not in, then you're not going to see it. Now, if you don't subscribe to the Patreon, I make it so that the posts become public after a week. And I do that so that you can look back at what I was seeing and the way that the indicator develops, so that you can actually see that, well, I don't want to say see, but you can kind of back test it and determine for yourself if there's actually something to it. I have made money from trading this. When I made it, we were about right here, I think, was when I made it. And I said, okay, it could go up a little bit more. But I wasn't confident enough to buy it, and I didn't have any money to buy it. So I waited for the top to happen, and I was able to call the top almost to the week. Because when I first started live streaming was right here. And was when the futures went live, and I told everybody that it's going to sell. And so I waited for it to come down here to 6K, I believe it was where I bought. And then when it got to 10K, it did this right here. You can see. Oops, let me try that a little bit more clear. I got that thing. And so I got out. And that was it. And then I've been waiting. I thought that I was going to buy it down here, but look, it didn't do it. It didn't get low enough. Normally it gets down to here, So I decided not to do it. And now when I've seen the action, I think that it kind of is a good. I mean, you could have bought it. You could have looked at the indicator and said, okay, yeah, maybe it's worth buying. But I say that this right here, man, this whole thing right here, that indicates to me that there's fraud. It doesn't do that normally. It's unusual behavior, and it never gets above there without fraud. So I think fraud. But the way that it is right now, like I was saying, that's the sort of a thing where it's like, because we're at that particular point, there's so many more people are long compared to not long that you're just asking for it at this point. But it can keep going because you can still drag new people in. You know what I mean? But here, as we're going, they are able to get above 8. But 8 looks like the balance level, so it could go back and forth here quite a bit before. Who knows? Also, if you look at the Patreon, I'll just show you another one here really quick. One that I think is interesting. Trying to sell the Patreon. Here's Ethereum Classic. Look at what Ethereum Classic is doing right now. So it's a little bit less reliable because it's harder for me to filter out things on the altcoins. In Bitcoin, the things that I need to filter out to be able to make my calculation are much easier to highlight and know. In the altcoins, there's a lot of noise, and so you could have something where like a scrambler is going or something like that, and it can dramatically affect things. Okay, but you can still kind of look at the chart and try and figure things. And generally speaking, when we're having a spike like this, that doesn't seem like a good thing. So I don't know what to make of it, but something weird is definitely going on in Ethereum Classic that I think is interesting. What about the 11,000 Bitcoin shorts gone on Bitfinex that Sunny Decree is talking about? Okay, we can look at that in a second. Remember, years ago I was trading Jones Soda and it went for $1 to $30 a month. That's why I do not believe in technical analysis. Okay, so why are you talking about technical analysis? So if you think that this is technical analysis, then you don't understand how it's being calculated. Okay, so for Anthony here, By the way, where have you been, man? Anthony? I haven't seen you in a while. Because I've been watching this too, but I'm not so sure that it's to a spot where I can really make anything of it. But if I go to data mesh and we can look at what the longs and the shorts. And smash the bid. What? You mean to tell me you can't draw some lines on your chart and make money? No, you can't. But like I said, my that chart, don't look, it is not technical analysis. My chart is a fundamental analysis indicator. You can do some technical analysis on that line. I don't think it's probably going to get you very much. Meaning I do not believe anyone honestly knows the top or the bottom. Well, I've called it like 5 times now, so just saying. Okay, so when I look at Bitfinex today, I can actually see that the shorts decreased a little bit. In fact, it looks like they got liquidated, dude. You see that? That's interesting. And you can see, so this is something I was watching yesterday. When I saw this yesterday, let me get my yellow out. See this right here? Okay, so this is short and this is hedged. So when I read that, I thought maybe that's somebody getting out of their short or something, like they're hedging it and then they're getting out of their short. And then it went and it did this, but this side stayed down. And then up here, the number of shorts actually did decrease dramatically by that same amount. So I think that was somebody hedged their
Block
position
buy.
and exited. Block buy at 13 might be a spot to sell it again. Right now, though, they're kind of showing me wrong about the whole trend day thing, though, because if it was a trend day, they would have gone lower by now already. Working. Oh, Anthony says he's been working like crazy. That's why we haven't seen him in a while. We can be overbought or oversold for a very long time. Well, that's very true. So the problem that I've had with the indicator, if we come back to it, it gives you a pretty good idea. It gives you a pretty good idea. But if you're looking for like okay, at what point is it like a really overdone, and you try and use technical analysis to determine it, it just tells you that it's overbought. It tells you that we're at a point now that the fundamentals no longer favor Bitcoin going up. But people can continue to buy it. It will continue to go up until people stop buying it. And it's just a question of like how long until they figure it out, right? And so I try and use it more of a a risk reward sort of a thing. Like if you're not in, don't buy here. I'm not an investment advisor, but I would not recommend buying here if you're not already in. You could wait for it to go a little bit further, but the risk reward is just not on your side. When it's down here, it's a good buy. It's not a guaranteed thing. It could be that Bitcoin is dead and it never goes up again. That could happen. But the risk reward that is in your favor is it's so much in your favor when it gets down into that point, like we were at when we first touched 6K. You're almost dumb. You almost have to do it. Just don't spend any money that you can't afford to lose, because that's Bitcoin. Still be responsible about it, but that's kind of the take. What were you doing at 3K? So when it was at 3K, and my indicator got to here, and it was very brief, but it got to here and we were below 100, I was looking at it and saying, well, if we got to 1,000, then I think it would be worth it. But where we're at right now, it's not quite enough. And I was still looking at this picture where I was like, something's going on here. Something's fishy. So I think that you could have bought by saying, okay, you have an okay risk reward, and I think that because of Bitfinex or whatever that it might get pumped again, then you could have bought it. But I didn't. I just held off. I'm sitting there and I'm looking for a place to buy, but I'm not gonna buy it here. There's no way. There's no way. I wouldn't short it either. If I had options, if I had a way to buy options like 3 months out and I could just buy puts, then 100% I would do it and put a couple $100 into that. But without options, it's just way too risky. Sounds like Microsoft using the Bitcoin blockchain could be one of the main reasons. So I need to do a little bit of research because I remember hearing about Microsoft doing stuff using blockchain technology, but I didn't hear that they were using Bitcoin itself. The thing that I'm still kind of irked about is that it goes up, but you don't actually see more blockchain use. There's not actually more money actually coming into the ecosystem. They're just trading it. And until I actually see that come into the ecosystem, I would be really, really worried about buying it. But like I said, I mean, the thing that's been funny about this is it's almost like I know that it can keep going. And so I'm kind of questionable about it. But the mistakes that I've made have all been in not trusting it enough. Yeah. I can't believe BNB went so high in 1 week right after the hack, right? The whole thing is just shady, right? Like really think about it. See, it's time for people to turn out, so I'm gonna make this real fast. But what was just revealed is that for the past year, 80% of the volume in Bitcoin may be complete bullshit. We know for a fact that not all of it was backed at that point. Not all of it was backed at that point. And we're talking about right here was around the time that they were talking about that. And they were said, oh, it could go to 1K, which, oh, by the way, is exactly where my indicator says this is supposed to go. I don't know how much of that was actually real or fake, but we know that some of it was fake. And that counts for 80%. 80% of Bitcoin transaction volume? Mm-hmm. You really want to buy that? I don't know, guys. That's like that would be akin to going back to the financial crisis and saying Spinco sounds like a great idea. I think we should buy it. No. Bad idea. That's my take on it. So anyways, I should probably go and post the notes. Oh, you know what? So we got a couple of things that we got to do here. Okay. So first one is I'm going to come down here and we're just going to leave our little note. Oops, I went too far. And I wish I had taken that first signal, but I seem to be doing pretty good taking one low risk trade and calling it for the day on a good win streak. So if you could, I would love to, if you want to continue this conversation about Bitcoin, I would love to do that in the comments of the video. So if you scroll down and just leave a comment, and I respond to every comment. So if you want to keep talking about it, we could definitely go down through there. I had a 1K target also, but I know better than to try and time anything. Yeah, well, it's not like a timing thing, right? That's what I'm saying. It always seems to be, the indicator always seems to be a little bit early. it'll say something and then they'll keep pushing past you and then it will do it. Because that's what happened at the low was it said, you know, that you would buy it and then it continued to go down for a week or two and then it turned around. But that was when it first touched 6K, that is. But yeah, it tends to be early, so you can't time it. You can just get acceptable risk reward. So that's why I wouldn't take it. This is not acceptable risk reward. Anyways, so there's my comment, and then we need to come over here, and we need to look at the charts and the ZN here, and we'll just zoom in really good and take a picture of it. And then we're going to come and open up Paint. Cool. Where is our... This one. Cool. Oh, it's this one right here. Now, why are you being like that? You know what, actually? There we go. I should take some more. We got to remember to take some other pictures at one of these days. Okay. Save as. PNG. 05. 16. No. Cool. Change thumbnail. Uploading thumbnail. Your masterpiece is almost ready. Okay, cool. So we changed the thumbnail. All right, so what do we got? Lucas says, tough day. How did you do overall? Are you happy with your trading? I'm down 4 for the day, but up this week. Yeah, well, so like I was saying, I could pull this back over again, but I only took one trade today. I wish that I had taken the 10 bucks or whatever that I had gotten out of this e-mini trade. And I wish that I had taken 16 because I could have had a good 10 to 8 ticks today. But I'm on a really good win streak for the week, right? When I come back and when I come back and I show the whole week, you know, I'm on a really great win streak. I'm probably going to be extra cautious tomorrow, so it's being Friday and everything. But I'm doing great, so I'm really happy. We'll see if the volatility continues because it's about time for me to stop trading my live account. But as long as we continue to have good volatility, I can keep doing it. So, yeah. Well, it is now 8:51, so I'm going to go and post the notes. And I will catch you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, stay profitable, friends.